Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and man, we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you do have a community, and you are not alone. And to that end, I am very excited to introduce you to our guest today. His name is Jason Miller, and he he has kind of a crazy story. He suffered a traumatic brain injury while he was in the military. It was an explosion, and it completely knocked him out of the vehicle he was in. I'm going to let him tell the story because I feel like I'm butchering it already, but it's quite the story. It's pretty awesome. But needless to say, he obviously did not let that stop him. He has since left the military and is an extremely successful business owner, CEO of the Strategic Advisor Board, and I mean, just helping business owners around the world. And I can't wait for you to meet him. Let's bring him on. This is going to be cool. All right, Jason, thank you for being here, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I guess we're in each other's war room today.
That's right. Seriously, man. Yeah, I mean, I that's part of the reason I wanted to have you on the show is because I kind of relate to, not for the same reason. I was not there was no explosions involved in my traumatic brain injury, but nonetheless, we can relate on that level for sure. And so I was so excited to get you on here because I wanted to hear your story, and I wanted you to tell it to our audience because it's a great one. So let's just dive in, man. Let's just start there. What you were in Afghanistan. What branch of the military were you in, by the way?
Army. Yep.
Army. Awesome.
Served in the Army. Yeah.
For how long were you in there?
23 years in total. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say right up front, thank you for your service and sacrifice. And I really, really appreciate you doing what most of us cannot. So thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
Yeah, man. I'm a flag flying, gun toting, red blooded American, baby.
Yeah, baby. we got that in common. Yeah, for sure, man. Oh man, the Constitution's more than just a piece of paper with a few scribblings on it, right?
That's right.
We wouldn't have what we have now without it. So
I might have a drop or two of blood on there.
Yeah. A drop or two. Yeah, for sure. So man, take us back to that day in Afghanistan, man. You got, did you say, I remember you telling me this story, but recap that for me. This is where it kind of all started with that brain injury. Tell us what was going on.
Yeah, so we had just, I think we just got back off of a patrol, and we were just getting into our little hut that we had for the team and whatnot, and just getting all the gear off. And then we took a round in the took a round inside the compound. So throw your stuff on, out we go. We took another round. It was really close, and they had these if you know those great big huge cement culverts,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what those are, right?
Hmm.
That big enough for you to crouch down and kind of get in those, right? And then
Yeah,
there were
yeah.
sandbags all over top of them, so on and so forth, right?
Sure.
And so that round hit, and it kind of just it assisted me forward, right? And
Assisted you forward. Yeah.
and I took it right here.
Oh,
So here and across here on that cement culvert, right?
okay.
And yeah, it knocked me out for quite a while. And
Yeah.
it was it wasn't even about the explosion. It was about all the aftermath of memory loss and all those things after the aftermath of it
Yeah.
all.
Well, and when you say round, you're not talking about a 5.56 round. You're talking about this is a shell. This is like this was a,
Yeah, it was a 107 rocket. Yeah.
I mean, it was a
Yeah.
big round. Yeah. It wasn't just,
Mhm.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure we're not confused about that. It wasn't like
Right.
it was like a gunfire, and just came from past it. No, it was a big
No.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. All
Yep,
right.
for sure.
Wow.
And I don't know, it changed my perception and thought process after that,
Yeah.
right? And it's not like that was the first time rounds had hit or something like that, but it was it was really about the concussion of it all to the
Yeah.
brain and what that does to the brain.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's like taking quarters inside of a peanut butter jar that doesn't have peanut butter in it and just rattling it around like this, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Uh,
the pennies are your brain just banging around in there, right?
right. Yeah. This is your brain. This is your brain on after a round hits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Like a whole new commercial.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Okay, so that happened, and you obviously had some. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some damage there. There's going to be
Yeah.
some rehab to happen. I mean, what? So did you continue after that? I mean, did they send you like stateside for medical attention, or what happened? Like, how did that progress after that?
Oh, absolutely nothing happened.
Oh,
I
you're
woke
okay.
up.
Sleep it
I
off, right?
woke up and kept on fighting, right? And then that's just the way it was. It was that
Okay.
way for another 3 more years after that.
Whoa.
And nobody was thinking about this stuff then, though, right?
Sure. Wait,
Nobody
when
was.
was this? What year was that?
That was my last deployment in 2014. So
2014.
um,
That's 10 years ago.
yeah, and nobody was thinking about this stuff at that moment. I mean,
Sure.
gosh, at kids, we freaking nailed our heads jumping off barns and shit stuff, pardon me, all the time, right? And
There it is.
and so stuff like that happened in combat
Oh, yeah.
every 30 minutes, right? So
Sure.
it was just stuff just happened. And
Yeah.
what'd you do? You got up, dusted yourself off, and kept on moving, right? It's not like you had much choice, short of you had a piece of shrapnel sticking out of your eye or something.
Right. Well, yeah. No, but see, that's what's ridiculous is it's because it's not visible to the outside, people
Mm,
don't think there's anything wrong. And there's
right.
so much in here
Yeah.
that can be damaged that is more important, honestly, than your heart, your brain, your lungs, man. If you damage any one of those, you're in a lot more trouble than any visible,
Mm,
injury. You could blow your arm off and you'd be in less trouble sometimes than if you hit your brain, hard enough. So
all right.
it's just crazy how much ignorant, like how ignorant they were of that. It's just blows my mind.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. I mean, a lot of that didn't come to light until, way after the the war was over, right?
Yeah.
And people started to have all these experiences of things happening and so on and so forth. And I still, to this day, I don't drive because I have moments of blackout still.
Yeah, we'll
And
talk about that in a minute.
yeah,
I want you to tell that story too, but because that's
yeah.
a crazy one. But yeah, I agree though. It's been so. I mean, that's how it works though, right? Nobody wants to think ahead. I mean,
Mhm.
thinking ahead takes a lot more money and a lot more time and a lot more resources. So it's a lot easier to clean up the mess afterwards and hope you know picked up all the pieces. You
Yep.
know,
It's the see
um,
no evil, hear no evil concept, right? I mean,
well,
that's
I mean, I've never been in the military, so I can't really speak from experience, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I'm not. I don't. It's
Mm,
yeah, that's crazy.
well,
Okay, wow. Well, just to throw this out there for those of you who are watching, anybody in the audience that has had brain injuries or experience like that in the military. I mean, here in Colorado Springs, I mean, in Colorado, we've got a bunch of bases for all kinds of branches of the military. Here in the Springs, I feel like they just kind of said, what don't we have? Okay, let's add that. We've got like everything here, and so we see military like you can't throw a rock in any direction without hitting two of them. So I totally sympathize with what with what you guys go through when you come out, and whether there's a serious injury or not. It's just that's just how it is. It feels like it's figure it out later,
mm,
kind of thing.
yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from, but it's just feels like that's the story I hear a lot. So if
Well,
anybody has questions, Jason's
you
your man.
you
So
you got to think about it. I mean, the fog of war is a real thing. Okay,
oh my gosh,
so
yeah,
and in those moments, and there's just really no time to deal with those things,
right,
right?
right.
And then on the same note, it's you get up and you dust your, if you're okay at the moment, you're okay at the moment. It's not like they can send everybody home, you know,
Right,
just
yeah,
because something happened. And hell, you get shot, they bandage it up and keep going. I
right,
mean, that's just what you have to do sometimes.
yeah,
And so I don't know if it's lost upon people in the medical community, in the military. I don't think it's lost upon them. It's just when the mission is the mission and it has to continue, right?
right,
And
yeah.
they can't just keep replicating more of you, and
No,
you have to just stand up and put your helmet back on and keep fighting.
yeah. No, and I am certainly not trying to throw anybody under the bus here. I just know there's so much that happens like that. And
Sure.
I guess, from the civilian point of view, I obviously cannot identify with that and don't understand, all the things that are encompassed there. And I honestly I just I don't get it. So
Yeah.
no disrespect intended, but I'm just confused why that because that does not compute in the civilian world. It's like something happens in the civilian world and you get it taken care of and then you carry on. In the
Right.
military world, it's not like that. So yeah, you gotta just
Yep.
keep going. Um, my goodness. Well, after you got out and had to go through all that, the rehab, I mean, how was the rehab? The rehab must have been long, right? After you finally got out and figured out what was going on and what the damage was done. And
Yeah, I actually took a different path. I didn't
oh,
really go through a lot of rehab at all,
okay.
actually, right?
Oh,
And I found that you know self rehab was the best thing for me. Um,
okay.
because the military was something I was kind of trying to put in the rearview mirror at that point, right?
Yeah.
And you have a couple of different kind of people. You
Sure.
have somebody that, they spend 4 years or 20 years, however long, and then they get out and all they want to do is put that life in the rearview mirror, right? And then you have the ones that choose to live in it, right? I know I have one in my own family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people that choose to live in that state of chaos and repeat that chaos over and over and over and over again. And that's not helpful. Right?
No, not if you want to move on to other things. No.
Not if you want to move on to other things.
Oh,
And I found that just, then there's self-medication, all those crazy things that
oh
aren't
man.
helpful
Yeah.
either, that people do that too.
Sure.
But, I found that what was best for me was to self-medicate through work, right? It's
Okay.
it's my medication, right?
Yeah.
It's like post-traumatic stress, right? People ask me all the time, holy crap, how do you just keep going all the time and
Right.
never stop? And I always say, I'm an infantryman by heart. We're fueled by PTSD, caffeine, and hate.
Wow. Those are powerful things.
So,
Yeah.
so
No.
I'm being a bit facetious, of course, but
Of course.
but
Yeah.
but
Uh,
but but the point is if you keep your mind active and not
yeah.
on idle, right? Now we can, I'm not going to say move past it, but now what we can do is now figure out best practices at work
There you go.
for us, right? And for me, that's journaling, that's all those things, writing all this stuff down.
Yep.
I had a stutter for a while. I finally got past that.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like I had uh, you know, I had to like retrain my brain a little bit. Let's see, I still get in these little frozen moments every now and then. I had to retrain my brain to not freeze up
Yeah.
so much, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if people realize how much work that really is.
Most people don't. I totally get what you're saying. And no, most people
Yeah,
don't get that at all.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
but
hard work.
yeah, but for me, it's I keep my brain going all the time. It is Your brain is a muscle, and if you don't use it, it'll atrophy,
It's
right?
true.
So you have to keep using it, developing it all the time. And for me, if I sleep 2.5, 3 hours a night, I function off that just fine, right? Where most people can't nearly function off of that.
Yeah.
But it's because it never stops in my head all the time.
Mhm.
And I don't know, there's probably an actual disorder for that.
You know, there's a lot of disorders that are out there that I wonder where it came from.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
just run
true.
out of descriptions for things and start coming up with these or
Mhm.
what? Yeah. So there probably is if you look hard enough, but
Yeah,
you seem to be doing all right without the diagnosis.
that's
So I think
right.
I think you could skip it probably,
It's
but
got to be some fancy acronym out there.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because that would fit though, right? I mean, the Army, that's what the
Mm,
military does. It's all about acronyms,
that's right.
right?
You got it. The same
So that's all.
acronym can mean 8 different things too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, you're supposed to know what all of them are. That's
Yeah.
right. At a moment's notice, wake you up at 3 in the
Uh,
morning. What's this one?
yeah.
Well, I tell you what, man, I am it's a story that I cannot relate to, and I admire you for getting to the other side of it and realizing that you can self-medicate. I mean, a lot of people don't get there. So a lot of them fall into that self-medicating that's less healthy.
Yeah, right.
uh, with substance abuse and all kinds of other, terrible things. So
Mhm.
I applaud you for taken that road. I mean, that's a great road. I mean, obviously has served you well, you know,
Yeah. I
so far.
I fully admit I am a drug addict.
Okay.
I'm addicted to dopamine.
Fair enough.
If there had a shot of that I could give myself every once a day, I would probably do it.
Well, you know, they're if you dig deep enough and pay somebody enough money, you
Well,
probably
you probably
somebody
could.
probably come up with something for you. Yeah. Oh
Uh,
man, there's worse ones out there, I'll tell you. So I mean, it's all
yeah,
good.
it's like
Well, man.
my old man used to say, he used to say he was always on a high.
Oh,
He was high all the time.
okay.
He was high on life.
Nice. I love it. Hey,
And he
that's
was
the way to do it.
always on a natural high.
That's cool, man. I like that. That's better than some. So yeah,
Mhm.
yes, natural is better. That's definitely better. Well, I tell you what, Jason, I think we're at a good place where we can take a break. I'm gonna just show a couple commercials here. We'll go take a little break, and then I'm gonna come back, and I want to hear about. I still want to get into that, hear the story a little bit about where, you know, what you mentioned, not driving much anymore, and
Mhm.
I want to talk about that because that is part of the impact that this TBI had on you, and I think it's important that we talk about that. So so everybody stick around. It's a good story actually. It's a crazy story, but it's one you want to hear. So stick around. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll hear that story and keep on going.
See you soon.
Does your to-do list have you feeling stressed? Does your list include tasks like responding to email and phone calls, collecting forms and paperwork, and sending quotes and invoices? Have you been neglecting posting updates to your social media accounts, email newsletters, or content on your website? Maybe you need help to get digitally organized. I'm Selena, one of the owners at Office Mercenary, and we're a US-based virtual assistant agency. We can take care of all of these tasks and more so you can get back to focusing on the things you love about your business. Our team is happy to work with you and your individual needs. So schedule a call with us, bring your to-do list, and stop doing the tedious tasks.
The Club eFit Home Portable Gym System is a groundbreaking new system that can help everyone at any fitness level. You can be the happy, fit person you always wanted to be, and Club eFit can make that happen by helping you get the body you deserve in the time you can spare. With workouts ranging from cardio, core, to total body toning, it's easy to get started. Start taking care of you today. To make the change, go to clubefit.com now.
Hi, I'm Amy Joy, and I'm the host of Get Your Together Live with Amy Joy. And you can catch me every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific on the amazing Trajectory channel right here on E360 TV.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being here, Jason. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, when we left that first segment, I mentioned that you post military this was, what was this, several years later or something? How long after was this incident that happened in the car?
That's easy to remember because my daughter's going to be 5 this year, and it was the day she was born.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
Tell us that story, because that is a crazy one, and it's a doozy.
yeah. So we had, I had been just on a crazy, path of scaling a few companies, and I was up in the office kind of late that night. And this was when my office used to be, it was actually up in our main house. We had just a ginormous, like 600 square foot room that I turned into an office. And anyway, so I'm up there, and all of a sudden my wife comes in and she goes, "It's time." Right? And I'm like, okay, let's go. Right.
Okay.
And not only was it with time, we barely made it to the hospital. And my daughter was born, and I mean, she was like grease. I mean,
On the way in the door,
she was like a 107 rocket coming out. It was quick.
Well, that's the way to do it, man.
That's right.
Good, quick. It's awesome.
And anyway, so had to run home. It was the next morning. Had to come home, and my wife's folks were behind us or following us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just perfectly fine. It was just another day, right? And
Sure.
throw the son in the car, buckle him up, and we're coming home, and we're coming up. I live up in the mountains, so we're coming up the mountainside, and the next thing I remember is we were flipped over on our top.
Yeah.
And I had just completely blacked out. And I'd had this happen before, just not like that. I had gotten like a little bit of tunnel vision or something like that. Yeah. But I completely blacked out, and we basically rammed into the side of the mountain, and the vehicle just did one of these, boom, right on its top, Oh, my son was 4 at the time. And we're kind of, turned over, not completely on the top, but, he's hanging there from his car seat, right? And, I heard him screaming, and it was like this. I think the best way I can really talk about it is, if you've ever seen the movies where, a bomb goes off and then it's like, ee, and then it's just kind of like the eyes are starting to come open. And
yeah,
that's what it was like. Right.
Wow.
I mean, that's the closest thing I can compare it to. It wasn't exactly that way. I'm just trying to figure out something to compare it to
it's a good visual. Yeah.
For the visual effect for everybody. But, and he's screaming his head off, and the crazy thing is my in-laws drove right by us. They didn't even realize that it was us, right?
Oh, no.
And this lady stops, and, I get my son out. He was totally fine. But we couldn't get out of the vehicle, right? And now I'm like, you got to picture your kitty wampus, right?
Yeah, you're upside down.
Right. When we got there was just enough room there to where I had the, whatever you call it, sunroof partially open, right?
Okay.
And I'm just kicking on this thing, trying to just kick it out, right? And I finally got it kicked out. And this lady comes over, I slide him through, out he goes. I wasn't even thinking, and it's still a nightmare today. That car was just teetering like this, right? And I sent him out the top under the car, right?
Yeah.
And almost and the car could have just went right on top of him and smashed him, right? It still is a nightmare of mine today.
Yeah, I bet.
And anyway, so we got out of the vehicle, and all was well, and so on and so forth. But from that day forward, I mean, I look at it as it's a social responsibility for me. It's an ethical thing for me at this point. Yeah. That happened. Nobody says I can't drive. That's not really what it's about. I can absolutely drive. But for me, I look at it like, I could have put another human being's life in danger. Yeah. And not just my son, I could have head on right into somebody else. Right. So in my opinion, that isn't much better than driving drunk, you know?
No.
And, it actually prompted a company.
Of course it did. Because it's you. Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait. What company came out of that?
Okay,
I'm
so that's a whole nother story.
okay. Well, we'll get there. Okay.
Yeah. That's
We'll
a
get
whole
to that
nother
one.
story, but and a really good one too. It involves Colorado Springs and a rock concert.
Nice. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll get there in a couple minutes. All right. I'm kind of, now you got me intrigued. I want to hear the story. All right. But that was a wake up call, obviously. I mean, you're like,
Absolutely.
oh God,
Mhm.
so obviously you don't drive. You know what? I didn't have an experience like that, but I've had enough. I've, you know, with 7 brain surgeries under my belt, I've had enough trauma to the brain. I mean, justifiably so. I wouldn't be here without them, but
Right.
it's still trauma to the brain, and it still affects
Mhm.
you no matter what. And so, in the last 5 to 10 years, I have felt the same way, especially at night, especially with the slick like it's been raining. It's hard to see. It's hard to just I don't know. It's just I totally get the responsibility part. It's like just put see if somebody else can drive, and and just take that out of the equation. You
Yeah.
know. And,
Here's the beautiful thing too, though. Like when we go on vacations, I don't have to drive. So
wasn't that nice? Yeah, that's great.
there's an
I mean,
upside, right? You got to look at the upside too.
there's always an upside, man. There's always an upside. So I see this coming. So this is coming soon then to Jason's driveway. It's gonna have you're gonna have your your town car with your driver, right? You know.
It's true.
Is that coming? You got that? You got that lined up yet?
That's
That's
already exists.
Oh, well, perfect. There you go. Is it a town car or is it a limo? What do you prefer?
No, it's not. It's she's the lady drives several different vehicles, but
okay.
but
That's awesome.
anyway,
No, that's great. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And
Oh my gosh.
that's a great story on its own. And I don't know if you want to save it for the next segment or dive into it now, but
what story is that?
the story of the birth of a company because of it.
Oh, heck yeah. Let's talk about that. Yeah. What is that? Where did that go?
Yeah. So it started by a young female artist named Jessica Muse. She's a country singer. I don't know. She might not want to be called a country singer, but anyway, she was on American Idol.
Okay.
And I got to know her through somebody else, and she was in Colorado Springs. And I invited Otis McGregor, right?
Yep.
To come to the concert with me, right? And up here in the mountains, it's extremely difficult to get an Uber up here. It's crazy trying to get somebody up here, right? And this lady comes up, and she was really nice, and it's from the foothills of Boulder all the way to Colorado Springs, and then back that same night, right? So drives me there. I said, here you go, go get a massage, go do something, whatever, and I'll call you when we're done.
Yeah.
So Otis had brought me a bottle of his Trojan bourbon.
Nice.
Which that's another story in itself too.
Always a story.
Yeah.
I know.
But for short context, the significance is it was barreled on Veterans Day, and then 3.5 years later bottled on Memorial Day.
Oh, that's so cool.
And as a tribute to the 10th Special Forces Group.
Amazing.
And anyway,
Love it.
So he had brought this bottle. I call her back, and needless to say, we may or may not have had a few drinks.
Yeah.
She picks
after you got that bottle, I would have been disappointed if you had.
Right,
So yeah,
right.
come on.
So anyway, I get back in the car and off we go and get back home. It's like 1 a.m. at this point. I left everything in her car. Everything. I left my suit jacket in there. I left the bottle of bourbon in there.
Oh no.
I left my phone in there, all of it, everything, right? So I had her number written down in my pocket. I called her the next morning. She was like, yep, I was just about to call you and come up there and drop all your stuff off. And, so she comes up here and she said, look, I usually open the driver's side door to clean the vehicle out every day. Mm-hmm. But something told me to come around the other way. And that bottle of bourbon was sitting up against the door on the other side.
Oh no.
So it would have shattered, right?
Yeah.
And so then I was telling her about Otis and his stuff he was doing. And she's like, I would really love to start a business, right? And she'd been working for Uber for quite a while. And so we come up with this idea called She Rides, right?
Okay.
And it is like Uber, but it's only for women. Right.
Cool.
And locally here for college students, right? So on and so forth. Because once you talk to somebody that's been a driver and you actually hear all the horror stories that go on, woo, it's rough. And so we launched that, and she pretty much picks me up and takes me wherever I need to go. There's only one rule: I have to wear a wig.
You have to wear a what?
A wig.
A wig? What kind of does she get to pick the wig, or is it different ones every time?
I gotta wear a blonde long wig because it's She Rides, right? It's just a little running joke we have. When I get in, when I get in the car, she's like, "Here you go."
Well, if it's rides for women, I guess sure. Oh,
So
that's funny.
so that whole thing was just ended up getting born out of some necessity there, but not the necessity of one, the necessity of two.
Yep.
And that was a beautiful thing. And
that's awesome.
She's launching in Wyoming now, so it's a win-win for everybody that way.
That is huge, man. And you never see, and that's the cool stuff that you never know is coming.
Mm-hmm.
You never would have seen coming,
right?
And never would have even been a thing if you
had
not had that brain injury, had been driving yourself around, everything's cool. Like you would have lost out on that. I love that. I love those kind of stories.
Yeah, you start really looking back on things that happen in life, and you start to see them through a different optic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of do certain things suck, but you know what?
Sure.
You get used to those things, and then you look at, well, what were the opportunities that presented themselves that you capitalized on?
Yeah,
because of that, right? And I wouldn't be a lot of places in life right now had not certain key things happen in my life, right? So,
of course,
no different in this situation of things that happen. There's a cause and effect. There's a benefit. There's a suck. It's
every time. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I don't look at it as good or bad. I look at it as it just is what it is.
Yep. Well, and there's great and there's sucks, and you never know how close those are to each other sometimes, right? And they can lead to each, the sucks can lead to the great,
Sometimes the suck is the great.
Sometimes. Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. After the fact. Yeah. When you look back at it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
right. You're past it. Oh, that was great.
Yeah,
Wouldn't want to do it again. But
that's right.
yeah, man, that's crazy.
Uh,
Well, so you talked about journaling too. I'm sorry, I picked that up earlier in
yeah,
what you said. Like, I am a huge fan of that too because of brain injuries. I write if you could see the area around where I'm recording right now,
yeah,
you would count no less than 50 little yellow, sticky notes like this because I write
right,
everything down and I've got journals everywhere and I've got, yeah. So
right.
how did that, where did you get
Yeah.
that idea? Like, where'd that come from?
Well, it just became, I mean, I have a lot of companies under my umbrella, and it's
Yes.
not like I always did, but even, going back to just 7 years ago, right? It
Yeah.
got to the point where after a while, I just couldn't keep track of stuff anymore, right?
Right.
And I started with, I can't reach it, but it's just a regular. My dad used to buy those, red colored notebooks with the lines in them, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. I just used to buy those, put the date on top, and every action I took after the fact, I would just journal it, right?
Wow.
And then at the end of the day, go through those, write down my do outs for the next day. And then the next day, do outs complete, new date, wash, rinse, and repeat. And I had a little bout of sticky notes, but now I focus now on the, this little black box thing now.
There you go.
Has a notepad in it, and
Yep.
you can sync all that stuff now. So
Yes.
it's a wonderful thing, but
It is nice.
I still today, I have to lean on that. Otherwise I'll forget. I used to do the calendar invite thing, but geez, that gets annoying at 2 a.m. Bring, 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 bring.
Uh-huh. Well, you don't sleep anyway. It's okay. It's all right.
Well, I like to make it till about, 2:30 at least. 3.
Right. And Murphy's Law says if you want to make it to 2:30 or 3, then those bling bling, they're going to be going off to wake you up. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man. Well, there was a couple things that you said in our initial conversation before when we were setting this up to do this show that kind of stuck with me, and I want to throw one of them on the screen because it was really cool, and it reminded me of something that somebody else said at one point, but it was distinct, and I really liked it. So I'm gonna you just said yesterday was my only hard day. Like, I love that. I don't know where'd you come up with that? Was that just came out of nowhere and you just popped into your head, or who'd you hear that from?
Well, I think that has some roots into like World War II or something, but
Oh, okay.
But we all decided as a team that we all wrote that together inside of our team box as a reminder that we're breathing today. Yesterday was the only hard day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Today isn't certain either, but yesterday was really the only hard day. Today we're going through the suck. Tomorrow we'll do it again, and then today will be another. That was the only hard day, right?
Yep.
So,
There you go.
and I think it doesn't have to just apply to the military. I mean, that's just
No.
You look at that, just life in general, right? You got kids, you got life isn't perfect, and
What?
despite what Hollywood likes to say,
Yeah. All summed up in a nice, neat 30-minute episode.
Yeah. Hollywood, you see this little box like this in the screen, right?
Yeah.
Well, until they pan it out, then you see what's really behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
And it was fun. We just had Tony Robbins' son on my show, and he was talking about Hollywood and the box and all that stuff. That's where I just got that from. Just making sure I give it credit.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely credit where credit is due. I get
That's
it.
right. But yeah, I mean, we live in a life sometimes of these skewed optics, right?
Mhm.
And if we think of yesterday as, man, yesterday was my only hard day, today's going pretty darn good, right?
Right.
And if we keep that optic and that forward looking, opinion of things and stay out of the dark and stay in the light, and I won't get all woo woo, but
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
on track with life, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that is difficult, whether you have an injury, you're missing a leg, you got a TBI, you have PTSD, you got in a car crash,
Yeah.
your kids on drugs or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Life it has its moments of chaos, and that's yesterday though, right? Learn to
Yeah.
leave that hard day behind, and then tomorrow might have still been a hard day, but it should have been just a little bit lighter.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, and there's another version of that, of what you said there, that I like, that a guest of ours that was on season 1 of our show, and it was that I've survived
Yeah,
100% of my hard days so far.
there you
You know,
go.
it's like, because that's hope. That's hope, right? That's like, look behind, look at what I've already accomplished. Look at what I've
Mhm.
already survived. If you ever, decide to go down in the dumps with yourself, just, that's what you got to keep reminding yourself of. You're
Yeah,
still here.
100%, man.
I mean,
Tomorrow, well, I mean, other cliches are, today's pretty guaranteed, but tomorrow's not, right?
I,
And but all these things are so true, and sometimes disabilities can make you feel like that's, you know 10 times more impactful than
right.
a normal person, right? What we
Yeah.
would call a normal person, right?
Right.
But what the heck is normal anyway?
It's all relative.
It's all I'm perfectly normal, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
people used to say when I was growing up, if you think your family's weird, go to a state fair.
Or a Renaissance festival,
That's
right?
right. You'll leave that and go, boy, we're pretty good.
Woo!
We're doing pretty good.
Thank God. Yeah. 100%. Oh man, that's true.
It's
Oh,
all relative.
perspective is everything, man. Well,
Mhm.
okay, so I got a question that I like to ask everybody, and we got like less than 10 minutes left, but I got to ask you. After everything that you've been through, it, I mean, you are enormously successful in what you're doing, and I applaud you for that. I'm honestly, I that's helping me. I mean, the I've got your QR code here for Strategic Advisor Board, and I mean, I've worked with Will. I'm working with Shelby right now. We're, I you have an amazing resource that you're offering people, um, through SAB, and it's phenomenal. And I'm so thankful for you and for it. And if anybody, if you don't know what Strategic Advisor Board is, the QR code's there. Check it out. Reach out to Jason. Reach out to anybody on that board, and you'll understand why it's so cool. I mean, it's amazing. And we'll talk about that in a second. I want you to definitely, just for a second, I want to talk about that. But on after everything you've been through, how do you, Jason, um, find hope? How do you maintain hope?
Well, that goes back to PTSD, caffeine, and hate. Kidding.
Keep going. Yeah.
I mean, the honest to God's truth is we're the sum of, the 100 feet around us, right?
Yeah.
And at any given time, it's who we choose to spend time with that is either going to keep us up here or they're going to keep us down here, right?
Yeah.
And I am blessed to be a part of, so many great communities, right? I have my own communities. As a CEO, I don't live on an island. And, I have 18 companies under my umbrella, and I don't live on an island. I refuse to live on an island.
Right.
We don't have to do that, right? So there's the community side over here on this business side of things. But then it's who surrounds you at night when the lights are off, right?
Yep.
And that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Is, your spouse, significant other, go down that rabbit hole however you want.
Yeah.
And, when your child comes in your room and crawls into bed and snuggles up to you, you have a choice right there.
Yep.
Your choice is to go, you know what? You need to get out of this bed and go back to your room.
You just woke me up. Yeah.
That's never my choice.
No.
My choice is, come on, boy, let's snuggle, right?
That's right.
Because, that is the sum of everything in our lives, is the people that's around us, right?
Yeah.
And life is it's just too short. When you start looking at God, just start going the universe route and all that stuff and how vast and broad that is. I mean, God, we don't even meet the tip of the speck of that pen tip, right? Of our time in this lifetime.
Right.
So no matter what happens to you in life or how many of those poo-poo sandwiches you got to take a bite out of, right?
Yeah.
Take a bite out of it. Take your bite, swallow it, and keep moving.
Move on. That's right. Exactly. I like that. That's good. No, because you have to either way. So you may as well just do it, get it out of the way, get it behind you. And that can be one of your hard days behind you. All right.
That's it. That's right.
Yeah.
Throw some honey on it. Maybe it'll taste better. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes it better, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh man. Well, Jason, we got about a minute or two left. So
sure.
I don't want to cut anybody off in mid-sentence, but is there anything that you want to leave with the audience about your story or about SAB or anything in the last 60 seconds?
Sure. Well, the company speaks for itself. I don't need to do that, but I would just say this, I mean, I believe that every human being has worth, right? I don't care what situation you're in. It doesn't matter. Every human being is special. And the day my son came home, this wasn't too long ago, and he goes, Dad, did you realize that we're made out of stardust? Right? And I was like,
what?
I don't know if that's true, but it sounds pretty cool. Right?
Right.
Right. So I did like every good parent would do, and I got on Google, right? And, ended up on the History Channel, and it talked all about how, every piece of matter is made out of stardust, right? And guess what? Just be your own star. Stop worrying about what other people think of you. Stop worrying about all the outside influences of news and politics and all these things, right? Just be your own darn star and just shine in your own way.
Love it.
And if you do that, man, your life will look a lot better after today when it's that hard day.
After that hard day's behind you, right?
That's right. You got it.
God, I love that. That's awesome. Well, Jason, hey, man, I so appreciate you taking the time and spending this time with me and with everybody here. And what a story, man. I'm so glad that we had the chance to do this. And I appreciate you and appreciate you, everything you've been through and the success that you have. And just thank you for everything you're doing for us and other business owners all over the place. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, man, it's truly a pleasure. And thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. All right, guys, this is so cool. And if you have not, okay, you can go back and watch this episode again, please, because it'll be on demand after the live is done. Scan the QR code, meet with Jason. You will not regret it. The Strategic Advisor Board is there for a very good reason. And if you wonder what it is, go check it out. You won't regret it. It's pretty awesome. So, all right, next show is going to be Tuesday, April 30th. Please join us. It's going to be amazing. And if you have a favorite show in the past, maybe this is your new favorite show. So when you see it, if you like it, share it. It's probably somebody else's favorite too. And I so appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being awesome. And we will see you at the next show. Have a great day.